What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. I want to talk about, black relationships, especially with black women. And of course, I want to talk about that because in our community, they tend to be, at least on paper, a very academically qualified group. In the private sector and public sector, they're contributing a lot to the workforce. And so for some of these ladies, especially on the top end, and I mean the top tier, those of them who are going to the Ivy League schools or Stanford's, very high-end private and public institutions, there's a big investment in education and also in the private sector, in understanding the industry, understanding a career and things like that. And if there's somebody that comes from, like a broken home, they don't have a lot of trust to get married to a man because they feel that they need to do it all by themselves. And some do. Some women are very, very successful. And what happens is that as they're climbing up that ladder and they're meeting powerful men, they find out the truth that it's just kind of hard to get a guy that will take them on. And it's nothing wrong with them. It's just hard to do, right? If you're a woman and you're making $200,000 a year, you don't want a guy that's making less. But the problem is that a lot of guys who are making $300,000 a year or $400,000 a year don't want to be with a woman that's making $200,000 a year because you're not available. Okay? That's just what it is, right? And a lot of men want a woman that's going to be a little bit more available, a woman that's going to be a little bit submissive. And it leaves a lot of professional women lonely. It just does, especially if they're not necessarily conventionally beautiful. And I'm glad I'm getting to that point because I'm talking about Aryn Drake Lee. She is the ex-wife of Jesse Lee Williams, or Jesse Williams, right? Jesse Williams. He is the actor, very, very famous and stuff like that. And as we know, they got a divorce. How did they get a divorce? Well, initially, she was paying all the bills. He was just a teacher. Then he got into Grey's Anatomy and started becoming, more famous, started making more money than her. But then here's what happens when men get successful. Other women come in, right? So you have a guy like him who women think is very, very conventionally attractive. And you're dealing with somebody like Aryn Drake Lee, who is probably not as attractive as the woman that he's trying to talk to. And that's where the rubber meets the road. Which this is something that she should have looked into. You have a guy that women think is extremely attractive in his prime, making a lot of money. Did you really think that he's going to stay with you? That's any woman. I don't care if you're good looking or not good looking. These guys cheat. All right. So they broke up. I don't know why, but they broke up. She then tried to sue him for $40,000 a month for child support. And he got those payments lowered to $6,000 a month. All right. And the kids are living in LA. Jesse is living in New York City. And now she's upset that the kids are flying out to New York on weekends to see their father when they have school. Now here's the post she put up. Is it good for the health and wellness of a 7 and 8-year-old to be taken out of school on a regular basis to fly across country overnight on a red eye to be on the ground for 2 days? Is it reasonable for them to return dazed and confused and then expected to pick right up and survive at school the rest of the week? I don't think so. Neither do any of the parents who actually parent on a routine basis. There's a name for the condition of an adult who expects their children to indulge, caregive, and service that adult's desires at the children's expense. Receipt season. I have stayed quiet for too long. It's very interesting. Okay. And I'm not saying that I disagree with this. But now, are we going to act like he didn't change or you didn't know this about him? Because see, here's the issue with Aryn Drake Lee. When you met Jesse Lee Williams, You expected that he would always be under you and that he wouldn't have any opportunity to go further than what he did. Okay? You expect you would make more money than him. He'd still be a teacher. You'd be able to have you a husband, son, and all of that until he became alpha, right? And now you're no longer in the picture. So my question is, who decides to have kids with a man and get married to a man who's not on the same level as you, dare I say? Can we call accountability? See, here's the issue. Let's flip it. Let's say if you're a man, you marry a woman. Now the woman's giving you hell. You complain about it. What do women say? Why'd you marry her? Why'd you marry her? You had an opportunity to marry somebody else. Why'd you marry her? It's your problem. Can you say this to Aryn Lee? No, you can't, but I can, because here's another episode of when blaming black men goes wrong. Here's the issue, boo. You need to stop. It's your fault. If you would have picked the right guy up front when you were in Colombia, a man who wanted to be with you with your same interests, your same efforts, all of that, you wouldn't be going through this right now, but you didn't want that. You wanted a man that you can brag on about how good he looks, how fine he is, how mixed he is, probably. Okay? You are not looking at the permanent interest that you two had together. When you had plenty of opportunity to get a man like that at the Ivy League institutions, but you didn't. So now it's the guy's fault. When clearly you didn't have a problem with all that, with all those narcissistic ideas, because he was still that same way 8 years ago. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't. Hold on one second. Maybe when he was broke, you didn't realize that because he was in a subservient position. But now that he's not in a subservient position, he doesn't want you anymore. It's his fault. You knew already he wasn't interested in you like that. Because Jesse Williams has not even dated a woman. I don't think she's a bad looking lady at all, to be honest. I date her. You know I'm thirsty. So I don't think she's a bad looking woman. I just think he's the kind of woman that she's the kind of woman that he wants. That's the issue here. That's what I'm dealing with here. I'm dealing with a concept. And now because of that, you're blaming him when you didn't have to marry that man. Why'd you marry him? Okay? Why not everybody else? Why not marry somebody you have more in common with? Why do it and complain about it? You're only complaining about it now because he doesn't want you. He doesn't want to deal with you. And it's always a problem when you don't want to deal with somebody. If he still wanted to deal with you, it wouldn't be an issue right now, would it? No. If you were getting that $40,000 a month, it wouldn't be an issue. You'd have those kids on the plane. But because things are not going your way, not other opportunities, now it's a problem. People got to stop being so goddamn fake. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first comment at the top, and as you know, the before remains all-time high. I'm out.